Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today it is going to be another ranking video, and I'm going to be ranking all 6 Terminator movies from worst to best. The Terminator franchise has certainly seen its ups and downs. Especially after writer-director James Cameron departed the series following the second film, the series definitely saw a rocky road. But just how rocky are we talking? A quick little side note, if you enjoy these ranking videos, I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of the ranking videos I've done. So be sure to check it out, and I'm sure you'll find something you like. And with all that being said, let's hop right into things. Number 6, Terminator GENISYS. You wouldn't really think after watching the first 2 movies in this series that it would eventually devolve into a generic PG-13, poorly reviewed parody of itself. Well, maybe that's a touch too harsh. Or maybe not. Because just about everything about this movie screams generic. The action is CGI heavy and lifeless, the acting is subpar at best. Even from some great talents like Emilia Clarke, Jason Clarke, and J.K. Simmons. And the story is nonsensical at best. Look, I get that they were going for this whole soft reboot thing, but this wasn't it. And possibly the movie's biggest sin is the fact that it gave away its main twist and all of its biggest set pieces in the trailers. So yeah, way to ruin it for yourself. Number 5, Terminator Salvation. I always try to commend Salvation where I can, because really it's the only movie in the entire series that actually tried to do something different. Even if that didn't always really work out in its favor. The performances really aren't all that bad. I know Sam Worthington isn't everybody's favorite, but he actually does an okay job here. And then you have Christian Bale, Bryce Dallas Howard, Anton Yelchin, may he rest in peace, Common, and Moon Bloodgood. They all do their jobs. And while the action isn't necessarily spectacular, it still does enough to keep you watching. But where the movie goes wrong in my mind is with its setting. In all 3 movies before this one, we were promised a dark, technologically advanced, laser gun-filled future. And when we heard that this one was set during that future war, us Terminator fans everywhere naturally got excited. And then we got sand. Lots of sand. Yeah, this future was not what we wanted. It's bleak, lifeless, boring, and bland. And the story is just about mediocre even when it's at its peak. Number 4, Terminator Dark Fate. I really do have a love-hate relationship with this one. Well, I guess more so a like-hate relationship. I'll start with what I don't like this time. The story. Everything about it I just do not vibe with. For starters, spoiler alert if you haven't already seen Dark Fate, but they kill off John Connor within like the first 4 minutes. Which obviously felt like a giant slap in the face. And I can't be the only one that thought the CGI there looked not good at all. Their faces look like plastic and the whole thing just feels fake. From there, it just retreads familiar ground with a semi-fresh coat of paint. Except, why would they still be called Terminators if Skynet doesn't exist? How would the Terminators still be following orders or even exist to begin with also if Skynet didn't exist? I mean, Sarah even addresses it herself. And why do they still call it Judgment Day? And why does Grace know the "no fate but what we make for ourselves" quote? And then turning Arnie into Carl? And then turning him into the comedic relief? I'm sorry, I'm rambling here. The good stuff though is Linda Hamilton being back and more badass than ever. Arnie is at least better in this one than he is in GENISYS. And Mackenzie Davis also did a great job and was too a total badass. Not to mention, I thought Gabriel Luna was really awesome as the Rev 9. I mean, even the design of that thing was so cool. The first few action scenes in the final one were actually pretty great. The only one I have an issue with is the whole plane-on-plane action sequence and pretty much everything that follows up until the final fight. Just what was the need to go so fake and over the top? The Terminator movies were never about that. Thankfully though, aside from that sequence, the rest are actually quite enjoyable. And thankfully it was R-rated again after back-to-back PG-13 Terminators. Hold on there for just a quick second. If you're enjoying this video, don't get stuck on that 86% who are currently watching and not subscribe to my channel. If you're enjoying the video, be sure to hit that subscribe button right now in order to find more content just like this. It would be a huge help to me and my channel, and I really would greatly appreciate it. And while you're at it, be sure to ring that little bell icon, that way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And now, back to the video. Hasta la vista, baby. Number 3, Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. I know there are probably many people out there who majorly disagree with this one, but to be completely honest, I have a total soft spot for Rise of the Machines. I mean, it was my introduction to the series, the very first Terminator movie I ever watched, and I instantly fell in love with it. The action is just big dumb fun, and this was Arnie's last real badass appearance as the Terminator. And it continues the story, picking up from where T2 left off, in a way that can feel, although slightly forced at times, mostly natural. And having a female antagonist for the first time was an interesting change, and mixed things up at least a little bit. They also gave her some pretty cool abilities and an interesting Terminator design. Look, it is far from perfect, but it is most definitely an excellent early 2000s big popcorn blockbuster flick. Number 2, The Terminator. I mean, come on, it's an absolute classic. Arnie was stoic, brutal, and a truly terrifying and menacing presence. He really did feel unstoppable, and he nearly was. Not to mention Hamilton and Bean were a superb duo. It's really cool going back to this one after watching T2, and seeing just how innocent Sarah Connor started out. And it serves to make her character arc that much better. And Michael Biehn plays the perfect blend between a hardened soldier and a man yearning for a bigger purpose. But what I love most about this one is that it very much so feels like a horror movie. Though its sci-fi and action elements are still very prominent, there is just so much about this movie that absolutely screams sci-fi horror, and I adore it. And coming in at number 1 on today's list, and you already knew it and could have guessed it from the beginning, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. I mean, did you really expect anything different? I mean, really, come on. It was obvious, yes, and do I really even need to explain why? It's one of the best action movies of all time, hands down. And even, honestly, one of my favorite movies of all time, period. Arnie is at his best. Hamilton is at her best. Edward Furlong was phenomenal as a young John Connor, and Robert Patrick was cold, calculated, and utterly intimidating as the T-1000. The action is truly masterful, and the story was a natural continuation from the first, going even bigger and better with some very daring and bold choices. That certainly paid off and never felt forced, and it also never really made the movie feel overstuffed, because the pacing was just marvelous. And the CGI on display here was immaculate for its time, and it still holds up very well today. It truly is an unforgettable ride from start to finish, and without a doubt, the best of this franchise. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my ranking. And feel free to let me know what you'd like to see ranked next. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more content, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe, thank you so much for watching, and that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.